Could it be possible that nations, much like individuals, have a disposition towards either peace or conflict? It's a question that has been debated by historians and political scientists for centuries. Consider the nations that have a deep-seated aversion to war. Switzerland, for instance, has been famously neutral since the early 19th century. This neutrality isn't born out of indifference or isolationism, but rather a profound understanding of the cost of conflict. The Swiss have seen up close the devastation wrought by two world wars and have determined that peace, diplomacy, and neutrality serve their interests best. Or take Costa Rica, a nation that abolished its military entirely in 1949. This wasn't a move born out of naivety, but rather a bold statement of intent. Costa Rica would invest not in guns and tanks, but in schools and hospitals. It's a philosophy that has paid dividends, with Costa Rica regularly ranking among the happiest and most peaceful nations on earth. But what of the countries that seem to have a different relationship with war? The United States, for example, has been involved in conflicts for most of its history. From the Revolutionary War that birthed the nation, to the Civil War that nearly tore it apart, to the global conflicts of the 20th and 21st centuries. Yet, this isn't necessarily a love of war, but perhaps a belief in the necessity of conflict, a willingness to fight for principles and allies, even when the cost is high. Russia, too, has a history steeped in conflict. From the Mongol invasions to the world wars, to the Cold War and beyond, Russia's history has been one of constant struggle and resilience. Yet here too, it's not so much a love of war, but a recognition of its role in shaping history and national identity. So, where does all this leave us? Perhaps the answer isn't as binary as hating or loving war. Nations, like people, are complex and multifaceted. They are shaped by their histories, their cultures, their leaders, and their people. They make decisions based on a myriad of factors, from security concerns to economic interests to deeply held beliefs and values. In conclusion, it's important to remember that nations don't exist in a vacuum. They are part of a global community, and their actions have far-reaching consequences. Whether they lean towards peace or conflict, each nation has a role to play in shaping our world. And it's up to us, as individuals and as a society, to understand these complexities, to challenge assumptions, and to strive for a world where peace isn't just a dream, but a reality.